How's it going, everyone? Marriland here. Last time we just got done getting the second gym badge, the Knuckle badge, from the Dewford Town Gym. Now we're gonna head north onto Route 106. So there's nothing really that exciting as far as new wild Pokemon go. We can't surf or anything, we can only use the old rod, and the Pokemon you can fish here are the same as they are in Dewford Town. So there's not really all that much for you to do here. However, there are a few items you might want to pick up, like this heart scale that's hiding right here. And there's even a few other hidden items around. Let's take a look. So, right over here, you can find a Stardust by this trainer. And I think we want to fight the trainers here while we're here. You don't have to by any means, they're all totally avoidable. All you need to really do is just go this way to this cave, the Granite cave. However, you might as well get some experience by fighting these trainers. Okay, let's go ahead and start by fighting against this fisherman. What do people do if they needed to go take a break? What if my rod hooks a big one while I'm in the washroom? I can't just leave. Wait, how would your rod be there while you're in the washroom, huh? Anyway, Fisherman Ned here, he has a Tentacool. That's right, it's a poison water jellyfish thingy. And it has a lot of different resistances. So definitely keep that in mind. It shouldn't be too much of a problem to take down, but try to avoid using any special-based attacks against it, because it is very resistant to those. Its defense stat is subpar though, so shouldn't pose too much of a threat if you use physical-based moves. Supersonic is mildly annoying though. Alright, let's try and get around that with some quick attack. Yay! You don't have to worry about confusion now, do ya? Take that, Tentacool. I lost because I'm trying not to go to the washroom. Yeah, I'm sure that's it. Okay, so took him out, no problem. There's another trainer right over here by that Stardust I picked up earlier, but you know what? I don't know if I want to use my Tailo against him. Instead, let's go ahead and switch out for my Nincada just to get a little bit of extra experience. I was born in a village far from the sea, so I've always dreamed of coming to Hoenn. Alrighty. Backpacker Graham. Graham? I don't even know. It's an interesting name. It's pretty cool, though. But, yes. He has a Slackoth on his team. You might have remembered these things from the forest. And they have that Truant ability, which means they'll only be able to attack you every other turn. If you have something like Protect, you can use that to your advantage. However, it shouldn't even pose that much of a threat anyway. So, I wanted to lead with Nincada here just so I could switch it out and get a little bit of extra experience. So whatever I send in is unfortunately going to take a little bit of damage. But that's not a problem. Do be mindful that this thing likes to use Yawn, which it didn't do in this instance, which is fine by me. But Yawn can kind of throw a wrench in your whole plan. So be wary of that. Special base attacks are the way to go against this thing, by the way. It has quite a bit higher defense than it has special defense, so you'll do a little bit more damage that way, but it's not so critical. It's not quite as bad as Tentacool. Tentacool has just an obscene amount of special defense. It's crazy. That's definitely one of its strong points. Yeah, this Slackoth here, it does have, what is that? Slack Off. I know, it sounds so much like its name, but yeah, it's a move that just kind of heals Slackoth, or whatever Pokemon uses it. It heals its hit points by 50% of its maximum. Sort of like Recover, if you're familiar with that move. But since it has Truant, it can only use it every other turn. Alrighty, so one thing I most certainly did not do was go heal. So you know what, I'm gonna go heal my Pokemon really quick. Yeah, I definitely should have done that before I went on to Route 106. Definitely should have done that right after taking on the gym. There's a hidden Pokeball you can find right here in this little corner. Just have to press A while you're facing this spot of sand right there. Other than that, there's not that much exciting back here, although you can pick up this protein, which is rather cool. Keep in mind, you can actually do all of this stuff before taking on the gym. This place isn't off limits by any means. However, you will need to wait until you've gotten your gym badge before you can go too far into the Granite Cave, and then you'll need to wait even later. I'll show you in a moment. But for right now, let's go ahead and fight against this fisherman right here. All right, Fisherman Elliot wants to battle. He uses a Magikarp. So yeah, he shouldn't be too threatening with that thing. Remember, Magikarp can only use Splash at this level. It doesn't get Tackle until level 15. So there's not all that much it can even do. I guess that gives me freedom to do pretty much whatever I want to it, which is great. I could switch out if I wanted. In fact, I guess it really doesn't matter if I do. So let's go ahead and do that. You know what? I'm going to use the Skitty. I don't really plan on using this Skitty for very long. I know that I talked about Skitty, and it's not really that great of a Pokemon. I don't plan on using it. It's just its high level, and I figure, you know what? It doesn't really hurt having a higher level Pokemon on my team in the meanwhile. There we go. Slap that fish. Okay, so knock that Magikarp out. And he's going to send out a Tentacool. Well, I have no desire to actually fight a Tentacool with an Incada, but I do want to get the experience for that Tentacool, because thankfully they do give a pretty sizable amount of experience when you knock them out. So, since I don't have the experience share active, and again, I recommend having the experience share active unless you have a reason you don't want to. But my main reason is I want to keep my levels in check, so let's instead send out Marshtomp here. Tentacool has a whole bunch of resistances, but it does have a few weaknesses here and there. Ground is definitely something you'll want to use against it, although you probably don't have too many ground types available to you at this point. It's kind of interesting because I have two. Ninkata is actually part ground type. Okay, let's go ahead and use Mud Shot. There we go, that was pretty good. Hiya! A critical hit as well. Okay, perfect. So yeah, I get a nice tasty amount of experience for that. Like in deep sea fishing, I lost spectacularly. Alright, yes you did. Okay, so I got the protein there, I got that hidden Pokeball. That's actually everything there is to do on Route 106. Isn't that a boring route? Yeah, there's nothing really here left. Actually, I take that back. Once you have Surf, which you can do after you have your 5th gym badge, it's gym badge number 5. Just, you know, sometimes when I say 5th, like, it sounds confusing. I know some people say, wait, what did you say? And I guess that's just how I say it in the Midwest. But anyway, there is still more to do here. However, there's not anything more at this point in the game, which is why I'm not going to show it. I'm not going to end the episode here, though. I think it'd be good to go check out the Granite Cave. That's how I have it arranged in the walkthrough, and it does make sense. There's also not all that much to do here as well. There are some new Pokemon, though, so let me actually heal up my Pokemon using some items I have in my inventory really quick. There we go, much better. Just use an antidote and a potion. Okay, so, the Granite Cave. You may remember the Granite Cave a little differently than it is in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Well, it has indeed changed. You see, now in order to proceed to the basement of the Granite Cave and find all of the cool Pokemon, you need to have the Mach Bike. You can't cross thanks to this kind of muddy slope there. That's really unfortunate. You should definitely talk to this guy, though. Hey you! It gets awfully dark ahead. It'll be tough trying to explore. Well, for us hikers, helping out those that we meet is our motto. Here you go. I'll pass this on to you. Sweet. TM70. Flash. Teach that TM Flash to a Pokemon and use it. It lights up even the inky darkness of caves. Yep, that can be used to light up dark caves. However, we don't really have any dark caves at the moment. Later on, in the Granite Cave, we'll have a dark cave. But for right now, this is plenty well lit. So, there are a few new Pokemon you can get here. And surprisingly, Geodude is actually the rarest of the Pokemon you can find here. It's quite uncommon. I think only about maybe a 5% chance. So, not very likely you're gonna run into one of these at all. In fact, it's rather unusual that I did. But that's fine. Let's go ahead and try to catch one of these, because Geodude is an amazing Pokemon to use if you want... Ooh, Rollout. That could be bad, actually, because that'll increase in power every turn. Let's go ahead and Stun Spore. Maybe if we can paralyze it, maybe it'll stop using Rollout. That could be helpful. Yeah, but the third gym, the next gym, is actually an electric type gym. So having something that's a ground type is a very good thing. I don't really need Geodude as much because I started with Mudkip. And at this point I now have a Marshtomp, part ground. And yes, I did use Headbutt. I'm trying to either make it flinch or get it to paralyze or something like that, because I actually want to catch it. If I use Mega Drain, while there is a chance that it would survive in case it has Sturdy, I would probably knock it out in one hit, and that doesn't really serve the purpose of trying to catch it now, does it? So I'll just use Leech Seed to slowly weaken it, take a little bit of hit points back as well. How many Pokeballs do I have? I don't think this is going to work, but maybe. Since it is paralyzed and it has received a little bit of damage, I might be able to catch it. Oh, so close, too. So close. Yeah, so I guess if you started with Grovyle, or I'm sorry, if you started with Trico, you'll probably have a Grovyle by the time you get to the third gym. In which case, it can still do alright, but a Geodude would definitely be a good thing to get. You won't really need it if you're using either Marshtomp or Combuskin for that gym, but it still doesn't hurt to have anyway, just for generic type coverage. Alright, there we go. Got a Geodude. When Geodude sleeps deeply, it buries itself halfway into the ground. It will not awaken even if hikers step on it unwittingly. In the morning, this Pokemon rolls downhill in search of food. Interesting. Alright, so that's one of the Pokemon that we can find here. There are, of course, a few others, the most common of which is likely going to be Zubat. Let's face it, it's a cave. Did you really think we could get through a cave without running into a Zubat? Oh, there's the other Pokemon that's rather common in here, Makuhita. You may have been able to get a Makuhita by trading if you caught a Slakoth. There's a Makuhita named Makit that you can get over in Rustboro City. So I don't actually need this one here, but I figure, hey, you know what? Might as well show you. Yeah, you can catch Makuhita here if you want one for yourself, or at least with your own trainer ID. There is one of the other Pokemon here, Abra. Abra is rather uncommon, doesn't show up too often, and you know what? You are not going to want to weaken this Abra. The reason is, it will try to teleport away on the first turn of the battle. So chances are, unless you do something like use Taunt, you're not going to be able to try and catch it. So what I recommend doing is try to toss either a Pokeball or Great Ball, or if you happen to have one, a Quick Ball, right away on the first turn of the fight. It'll either break out, or you'll manage to snag yourself a pretty cool Psychic type. Yeah, there we go. Got me Abra. Abra needs to sleep for 18 hours a day. If it doesn't, this Pokemon loses its ability to use telekinetic powers. If it's attacked, Abra escapes using Teleport while it's still sleeping. Interestingly, it doesn't actually stay asleep when you use it in battle. It just kind of looks like it's asleep. Oh man, I never would have thought that the last Pokemon I'd run into in the Granite Cave would be probably the most common, or at least the one you'd think would be the most common. Zubat! But that's right, Zubat is the only other Pokemon you can find at this point in the game in the Granite Cave. Let's go ahead and try to catch this thing, and then I'll explain where the other Pokemon are. Okay, so let's go for Quick Attack. I think Wing Attack would be okay, but ooh, maybe it wouldn't have been. I guess Quick Attack was a good idea then. Might have done a little too much if I used Wing Attack. Okay, let's try to catch this Zubat. Now, believe it or not, Zubat is actually a pretty good Pokemon, despite being very common. Very common. Well, not for me, of course. But despite that kind of common appearance and thought, it's actually really good once it becomes Crobat. In fact, Zubat is an amazing Pokemon to catch before taking on the second gym. You can actually come to the Granite Cave to this point and catch yourself any of the Pokemon you see here without any problems. Zubat avoids sunlight because exposure causes it to become unhealthy. During the daytime, it stays in caves or under the eaves of old houses, sleeping while hanging upside down. Right, poison flying type too. That's what makes it so good against the second gym, because the second gym uses fighting type Pokemon. Geodude is a rock ground type whose evolution line focuses on attack and defense, but lacks speed and special defense. It evolves into Graveler at level 25, and then into Golem once you trade Graveler to another game. If you want Golem, make sure you have a trusted friend or a second 3DS that you can trade with. Geodude gets sufficient moves early on, including Magnitude, Rock Throw, and it even gets the powerful Earthquake at level 40 as a Graveler or a Golem. Rock Tomb is a good move to teach it right away, as it's better than Rock Throw. Dig, Brick Break, Rock Slide, and Power Up Punch are also nice for it. Gyro Ball is helpful thanks to its low speed, too. Its low speed is a problem, though, and even though it can take lots of physical hits, you'll still have to heal it rather often. The good news is, it's great against the 3rd, 4th, and 6th gyms. Zubat may seem extremely common, but fully evolved, it's a great poison flying type Pokemon. It evolves into Golbat at level 22, and then into Crobat when it gains a level at high enough happiness. An easy way to get high enough happiness is to run around back and forth, or, later on, ride your bike back and forth. After about 15 to 20 minutes of doing this, it should be happy enough to evolve. Zubat's Wing Attack and Bite are both great early on. Confuse Ray is helpful on it thanks to its speed. Acrobatics is another nice move that has 110 power if you aren't holding an item. Crobat's stats are also very, very good, with exceptional speed while balanced in everything else. Although it doesn't hit super duper hard, it hits hard enough and can survive a lot. It also has a lot of resistances. If you started with Mudkip, Crobat pairs very well with Swampert, although it also works well with the other starters. I definitely recommend Crobat for a solid flying type Pokemon. Be sure to get the TM for Sludge Bomb in Dewford Town after earning your 5th badge though, if you wanted to be a good poison type as well. Abra can be a pain to catch and to train up to level 16 when it evolves to Kadabra. But Kadabra has awesome special attack and speed, and it gets even better when you trade to evolve it to Alakazam. Its defensive bulk is very low though, especially on the physical side, so be careful. However, a shot of Psybeam or Psychic is usually enough to handle most Pokemon with ease. It gets a variety of status moves leveling up. Mix it up by giving it Shadow Ball, Focus Blast, Charge Beam, Grass Knot, or Dazzling Gleam, or any other sorts of interesting support moves. The Alakazite to Mega Evolve Alakazam can be found in the corner of the Slateport Market. Mega Evolving sends Alakazam's special attack and speed through the roof. Mega Alakazam has the highest special attack and speed of any non-legendary, aside from Ninjask's insane speed, of course. Trace also copies the foe's ability, making Mega Alakazam a bit of a wild card. The Gardevoir line serves a similar role as Alakazam, except slower but with better bulk. It's up to you whether you'd prefer a glass cannon like Alakazam, or something that can take a few more hits like Gardevoir. Both are good, just not generally on the same team, so pick one. Alright, so that's everything that can be found in the first floor of the Granite Cave. Although you can go further on here, there's actually no Pokemon in that room just up ahead. So wait, where do you get Aron? Where do you get Mawile? Where do you get Sableye? Where do you get Onix? Unfortunately, these things can only be gotten after you have the Mach Bike, once you get to Mauville City. See this slope? Yep, can't get any of those Pokemon just yet, so I'm not going to show that part, quite obviously. I will revisit the cave though, don't worry, before I take on the 3rd gym. But in this episode, I'm just showing this part of the Granite Cave, since the further part isn't accessible. But just in case you're wondering, wait, how do I get Aron? How do I get Mawile? How do I get Sableye? Etc. You don't get those just yet. You can only get the 4 Pokemon that I just showed you here in the cave. Anyway, let's go further on here. By the way, this cave here, it'll be blocked by a whole bunch of tourists if you have not gotten your 2nd gym badge yet. That has changed from the original games where you could actually visit here ahead of time. You can still visit the cave. It's just you can't go into this room until after. Really? Really? I was right in the middle of talking. Really? Why do you do this to me, Makuhita? Why do you do this to me? Right, but, yeah, so just make sure you have your second badge before you try to go back here. Also, this scene does vary just a little bit based on whether you're playing Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire. I'll go ahead and I will show you both scenes, starting with Alpha Sapphire. As you can see, the scene is a little bit different if you're playing Omega Ruby. Instead, it features volcanoes and Groudon, and the big murals in the, well, it's on the left side over there, as you can see. Looks pretty snazzy. So, in the ancient world, their primal forms once held this much power? The super ancient Pokémon, what terrible strength. But this appearance here, it seems somehow different from Mega Evolution. It seems my questions will not be answered today. You are? Ah, I see. It's a pleasure, Marriland. My apologies. My name is Steven. I'm interested in rare stones, so I travel here and there. Today, my journey brought me here. But what about you? Oh, a letter for me? Why, thank you. It must have been some trouble to track me down. I suppose I must repay you in some way. Let me see. I will give you this TM. Please accept it. It contains my favorite move, Steel Wing. Sweet, TM 51, Steel Wing. Not that shabby of a move to put on Zubat, by the way. Or you could put it on Tailo, or pretty much anything else that flies. If you don't mind me asking, do you feel anything in particular when you look up at this wall? A primal world lost thousands of years in the past. A legendary Pokemon of tremendous power became humanity's greatest threat. The terror aroused by that power is clear to see in this ancient artwork. Yes, but not all power is terrible. Your Pokemon are quite clearly capable as well. Looking at you all together, I think that you have in you what it takes to become a Pokemon League champion. As long as you keep training, that is. Good luck to you. I must be going now. Yep, so there's not too much of a difference in the scene. It's just it showed the other one with Groudon if you're playing in Omega Ruby. Since I'm playing Alpha Sapphire, you can see it shows Kyogre right here. It is a cave painting depicting a giant Pokemon-like creature wreaking havoc. There is a symbol resembling an alpha on each of the beast's two arms. It also pretty much says the same text, but it also says there's a symbol representing or resembling the character Omega on each of the beast's two arms. So it is a little bit different than in Alpha Sapphire, but more or less the same. Yep, so not all that different between the two versions, but it is a difference nonetheless. So that's actually all you need to do over at the Granite Cave. Once you've delivered that letter to Steven, you can actually go ahead and leave the Granite Cave. If you want any Pokemon, you know, be sure to catch them. But after you've delivered that letter, what you're gonna wanna do is go back to Mr. Briny over here, and he will offer to take you to Slateport City. Ah, but that reminds me, I had another message from President Stone saying he has another favor to ask. It's about them Devon parts he recovered for him before. Seems as though they should go to some fellow called Stern at Slateport's shipyard. This old sea dog will see you there safely. Weigh anchors, we're for Slateport. Right, so we can go now to Route 109 near Slateport. Let's go ahead and do that. Slateport City it is. Anchors away. Pico, we're setting sail, my darling. Ahoy! We've made land in Slateport. I suppose you're off to visit Captain Stern and deliver those Devon parts. That I am, but not on this episode. I will see you on the next episode. Thanks for watching, everyone.